How's it going, everybody? Johnny Styles here with the Wellness Observer Live. It is June 3rd, 2022, and we have a whole lot of news to cover. It's a whole wellness weekend because we have not one, but we have two shows. And I want to start off basically by saying thank you to everybody who had messaged me or just seen the interview with Dr. Sonny Andrews, which it got a great reception from a lot of people, not only in the industry, but people from, fans that don't even compete. And I want to thank you, all of you for the great comments and the great, feedback, because it's all about feedback. And when I started this channel, basically, I didn't want to be another talking head. I didn't want to be another one of those people that just interviewed because they interviewed. And I'm not saying I'm not going to interview anybody else. On the contrary, I'm going to interview many competitors. The one thing that I always want to pride myself is that I don't want to just interview just for interview. I don't know if you guys know this, but I come from a family of broadcasters. I come from a family that my dad was a radio sports broadcaster, and then my dad passed away, and then my mom took over, and she did that. Between them two, it was 40 years of sports broadcasting. So nowadays, with the internet and the Facebook lives and the Instagram lives, anybody and their mom want to be the next best interviewer or whatever. And it's not about just interviewing people. It's not about just talking like you're talking outside on the street. When you interview somebody, you want to take something out of that person. You want to have a conversation with that person. To me, it's always been very bland just to talk about, oh, how many sets you do, how many calories you eat a day or whatever. Like, in reality, I want the person to get something out of that interview. I want you to feel that you know the person, when, or at least if you're a fan of the athlete, you feel somewhat closer. Um, it's a little bit more than just a body on stage. So thanks again. If you haven't watched the interview, it's still up there. It's a great interview. I am sure that I have many more questions for Sonny Andrews. But in reality, why would I have to ask her all these questions when in reality we still have more time on this planet Earth for more updates and for more questions and for more answers. And hey, I'm sure she's gonna do more shows. I'm sure we're gonna have her back alongside with other wellness superstars. So thanks again. I had to get that out of the way for you guys. This weekend, we have not one, but we have two shows. We have the world famous Toronto Super Show. And who would have known that we would have a wellness pro show in Toronto, of all places? If you saw Instagram, the ones that were live, we posted it right there. There you have one, two, three, four, five competitors, but we're missing a very big one here with hometown hero, I guess, Cass Gillis, which is not on the list. But it's a very cool list. If people from Italy, from Canada, and from Puerto Rico, my hometown, which I'm gonna start off with Normari Fonseca. You can see her right there. She won the Clash, and she's won all her amateur shows. She's won. She's pretty good. For her, she brings in crazy conditioning. Okay, it's one of those girls that you see on stage, and when you see her, she looks rock hard, rock solid. She does have some issues in her posing. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything because she's from my hometown of Caguas, Puerto Rico. Of course not. She can only get better. I have no idea why she decided to do this show. In my mind, I thought she was really gonna do the Miami show, which we're gonna talk about it a little bit later. But as you see from this picture, that apparently this picture was taken 10, 12 days out from the show, you can tell that she has those glutes of steel, very hard rock glutes. So She is gonna do battle. I have her right up there, and since the lineup is so small, she can actually do battle against Cass, which Cass is the Olympian, and she is the hometown favorite. With Cass, I don't have to say much. I feel that I talk about Cass every freaking show. You guys saw her at New York, and honestly, if Sunny Andrews wasn't in New York, she would have won that show easily. And if you go right now to the Wellness Observer Instagram, you can see a little update that I did on her, and you can tell that her conditioning is crazy. So it's gonna be a conditioning game between Puerto Rico and Canada. Honestly, I have those two girls right up there, and it's cool to see because when you're an amateur like Normari is, like when you're an amateur doing your pro debut, and you're gonna be standing next to these Olympians, you don't know where you stand. You might look good by yourself, you might look good against other amateurs, but when you're standing next to Olympians that have already been tried and tested, that's where you know what happens. And nothing is set in stone. She can come in here and she can probably win against, the hometown crowd of the Canadians. So it's really going to be really, really cool to see what's going to happen next in Canada. Now, right here in sunny Miami, Florida, we have the world famous Miami Muscle Beach. This is a great show that's been happening every year, and it's gotten better every single year. My good friend Giovanni Paolo has been putting on this show. And the good thing about this show, if you don't know, if you're in Miami or Atlanta or all these other, southern states, if you want to call it that, it's that it's not only a show, it's more like an expo. And let me tell you, every year it gets better and better. It's the closest thing we have right now to a fitness expo that's legit. And I remember telling Giovanni about it. I remember telling him, when this gets bigger, all the wellness girls would want to come into the show because it's Florida. And let me tell you, I am surprised because from Pittsburgh Pro, New York Pro, Toronto Pro, the Miami show, which is Gio's show, has had the most amount of girls right there. And I posted it right there in the Wellness of Her Live. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 competitors. This is not counting the surprises of the show that you never know if somebody's gonna jump in. I was in my head. I don't know if you guys saw it. I posted it in one of the stories. Like, I wonder if Sunny Andrews just wants to do a show, just to do a show. She's a Florida girl, so she might as well drive down there and just do the show. Just like Ashley Kaltwasser, she's gonna do Toronto out of nowhere. And hey, you never know. This is why these shows are so important. And when you're in shape, this is why it's so important to stay in shape, because you never know. Honestly, at the moment, I'm not saying she's gonna do the show. Please don't misquote me. Right now, we got all these girls, again, very, very a good variety of people: Mexico, Costa Rica, Brazil, and America. And it's expected. From the Miami Muscle Beach, obviously you go there, have fun in the expo. But from the show, we're going to have one more time, we're going to have Rafael Zen. If you guys remember her, I talked about her in the New York Pro. She came straight from Brazil. She changed her look a little bit with a darker hair, and she was missing coloring. She was a little bit too pale for my liking, and her conditioning was not what you've been used to seeing on her. She has not been rock hard. And yes, I did say it, and you can quote me on that. Her glutes did look a little bit suspicious at times. I wasn't there, but I saw many, many pictures, and her glutes look very, very full. I don't know what's going to happen now. She stayed in Florida for the show, and I'm sure she's going to bring in conditioning. Her posing wasn't really that good either. And I don't know if you guys remember, even her shoes weren't the right ones. So it's going to be really interesting to see how she steps up her game from New York. Next up, we have Kayla Rossi. Kayla Rossi. If you don't know, you better call somebody, because I've known Kayla since the very beginning, since she was a fitness girl, an IFBB Pro fitness girl. And I used to do a lot of her pictures and videos when we were both working with Redcon One. And believe it or not, I was the very first person ever to tell Kayla about the wellness division. I saw the potential in her because she had crazy legs, and she does train like a beast. I've seen her not only training her clients, but I've seen her training herself, and she does train hard. Now, Kayla did have an issue with her glutes. Her glutes needed to catch up to her crazy legs. And in the past 2 years, I want to say Kayla has done great for herself. Not only have she gotten drier and very good conditioning, but her legs have gotten bigger. So believe it or not, she had big legs to begin with. Now her legs are even bigger. But are we gonna see her glutes match up to her quads? That's the bigger question here. If Kayla can nail her conditioning, which according to this picture that you're seeing right now, if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, you know what I'm talking about. If you see this picture right here alongside the video that I posted on the Wellness of Her Life, you can tell that she has nailed her conditioning. Her posing needs to be on point, and there's gotta be some type of glute development to match those legs. Don't sleep on her because again, we don't know how she's looking after. I believe she did a show overseas, and her conditioning was way off, way off. But she has then ventured into All Elite Wrestling, which was awesome, and I really like her journey back to the pro stage. Next up, we have Julian Winston. I don't know if you guys remember her. She did New York Pro as well. And I really like Julian. I don't know if you guys remember, again, I was talking about her upper body, that her upper body used to look a lot figure-ish, but has come down. And now her body, her whole shape, her structure looks absolutely great. You know, she has great calves, great glutes, round glutes. All she needed to do was come in probably a little bit tighter, and she would have placed a little bit higher, in my opinion. Now you can see like this picture was posted a few days ago, and hey, she does have the mass to do battle. You know, all she needs to do is come in harder, and she can do battle. Don't sleep on her either. She's one of those girls that, you know, she did New York, and you guys saw like in New York she looked really, really good. I'm putting it right here. If she can nail this, it'll be really cool. This Miami show right here is going to be really interesting. And I don't know if you know, but I'm going to be right there live and in person bringing you updates and calling it like it is. When I'm in person, you guys know that I call it like it is, and I see every single detail. Speaking of details, we're going to have a new competitor coming up right now from Costa Rica. She is one, I believe she's the first wellness pro from Costa Rica. There you go. She won the Olympia Amateur when the Olympia was held here in Orlando. Natalia Prado. Great look, very hard, great abs, good quads, good glutes. She did the Latin American Championships, and she won decisively. You can see her right there. She's the second from left to right. She really didn't have any competition to begin with. This was just an easy game for her. And then she came over to the Olympia and she won. Can she make a splash? If she looks like she did in the Olympia Amateur, absolutely. She can absolutely do battle. This is going to be a show that's going to be based on lines, conditioning, and overall stage look. If you see a picture of her on her last show, you can see that she looks very good. Her shape, her structure is there. Her glutes were a little bit undersized. But again, like I tell you guys, she really didn't have a lot of competition. She's a very pretty girl, and she stands up straight on those front shots, and she's very, very powerful. Again, this is going to be the show for her to show in reality what she's made of, the improvements that she's made. And I can't wait to see her, honestly. She's going to be representing all the Latinas from South America, because in Canada we have North America, which is from Puerto Rico, which is, I guess, representing the Caribbean. But now we have Natalia from all the way down there from Costa Rica, and she looks really good, honestly. Next up, we have Shayla Martin. I don't know if you guys remember, I talked about Shayla. She looked absolutely fantastic in all the shows she's done. There was one little detail. I don't know if you guys have followed her journey, but she did have a lump in that left glute. If you zoom in on this picture, you can see that she did get it removed, and it was just a medical issue that she had to take care of. And it's very important because at first, if you saw my play-by-play, I called it out. It's like there's a very suspicious lump on her side glute that doesn't look good. And I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. Even if you look 100% in shape, if there's something off your body, maybe your shoulders, your glutes, your side calf, or whatever, it throws off your symmetry. It throws off your shape. And there's judges that just look at that and they'll just mark you down. Even if it's a medical condition, if it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing, the judges can definitely mark you down. She has taken time again to rest, recover. Her quads look fantastic. Her conditioning has never, ever been an issue. She's always spot on conditioning. And I knew for a fact that nobody had her on the radar. And she came in like a little hurricane and has, shake the division. So I'm really happy for her. And I'm really happy she's going to be doing the show here, pretty much representing the Florida people. And last but not least, we have from Brazil, Giselle Machado, which a lot of people have her as the favorite one. And Giselle looks great. She's always looked great. She's jumped from coach to coach. She was a little bit with Robert Phil a little bit. Then she went for Neil Hill. Then she changed again. And, when you change coaches, it's a matter of strategy. So you don't know which Giselle you're going to have. We need to see her next to these girls. If you see her by herself, like this picture I posted, she looks amazing. It's not too big, not too small, all the right body parts. Her glutes are amazing. And it's going to be interesting because her conditioning has always been good, no matter what. Great abs, She comes from a pure wellness background compared to other girls here in America that just do figure and drop down to wellness. I would love to see a call out between Giselle, Shayla, Natalia Bravo, Julian Winston, Kayla Rossi. That's the call out I'm calling. If the judges want to do it a little bit more interesting, I would like to add, I don't know, Rafael Zen up to that mix. Hey, I'm not saying that the other girls are not going to do battle, but this is going to be a show to see. So I'm going to be there live one more time Saturday. I'll keep you guys updated on the times. I will do my very best to bring you all the news and the updates. Keep it locked here. Before we go, I have to talk about a certain person that you guys almost on a daily basis, you guys want me to talk about her, and that's none other than Julia Rene. Julia Rene, you guys have been asking me, where is she going to come do a show? Where is she going to go? Is she going to do a show? Is she not going to do a show? Is she ready? Is she not ready? What's wrong with her? We thought we were going to see her in Miami or New York or Puerto Rico. Listen, everybody. Julia is one of those girls that she wants to be not ready. She wants to be super legit ready. And, the problem with that is that when you are that perfectionist, you almost don't know when you're going to need a stopping limit to yourself. She has an amazing structure. I was the very first guy that, called her out when she did like a figure show. And I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? You shouldn't be doing figure shows. You should be doing wellness show because you're a wellness girl no matter what. Her glutes needed to come up. Her calves needed to come up. And, right now, looking at this picture, I have no problem with her calves. Looking at this picture, I'm okay with her calves. Is her glute bigger than before? We would have to wait and find out. At the moment, we haven't seen her post anything yet. But according to my wellness superstar calculations, I think we're gonna see her debut at in my home of the Puerto Rico Pro Show. She can jump into that show. She can jump into the Tampa Pro. She can jump in any show she wants. But I would have loved to see her right here doing this Miami show. I think she would have flared out because we have some big names here. And we have some girls that are kind of the same type as her. But again, competitors like her, she wants to be not only ready, she wants to be super ready. And that's something you have to respect from each competitor. It's just a moment that you have to stop and think for a second and see, what exactly is perfection? What is exactly my time limit? Because if you keep putting show after show after show and you don't commit to one, maybe you'll look crazy good and then there's no shows to do. So you gotta push yourself to the limit. And if that's the case, we will see her around 3 weeks in Puerto Rico. And hey, what better show to do than in my island against some of the girls that are doing that show as well? Don't get me wrong, shows are not getting easier. At the moment, I know of girls that are doing Puerto Rico, and these girls are coming in for the kill. And it's a very cool show to do. Show put on by Tim Gardner, and it's right there in the Caribbean Hilton. And if you don't know that, then the show is right there. And if you look out your window, the beach is right there. It's great for photo shoots, great to have fun, relax. The food, I don't need to talk about the food, but if you don't know, Puerto Rican food is awesome. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining me in this edition of the Wellness Observer Live. You can see this on YouTube. You can see this on Spotify. You can hear this on Apple iTunes podcast and everywhere else that's being accepted. I've sent this to every single podcast thingy. Overcast is still waiting on me. I don't know why. But again, thank you guys so much for joining in the Wellness Observer Live. This has been Johnny Styles, the Godfather of Wellness. You can write me on my personal Instagram at Johnny Styles, or you can do the Wellness Observer Live. So keep it locked and stay tuned for this weekend's show. Let's do this.